it's Tiffany Harper, your BSIU coach, and I'm so excited to come on with you guys today. I'll give it a couple minutes for people to hop on. I know Facebook takes a little bit, and we're on my Facebook page, so sometimes it takes a bit for Facebook to notify people that I'm live. So, I'm talking about today feeding your mind. So you all know me, you know that I work out pretty much every single day, that I'm a Beachbody coach, that I'm really big on exercise and eating clean and all that. But I'm also really big on a person's mental state and their heart transformation. So I feel like there's so many incredible resources out there that you can plug into and utilize in order to have a healthy mind that keeps you young, that keeps you thinking, that helps build creativity in whatever capacity that you're in. So if you're a mom, you're a wife, you're a working woman, you're a stay-at-home mom, or you are married, or you're single, or you're divorced, or you're whatever, or you're a businesswoman. There's so many incredible resources out there. Now you kind of have to filter because not every book that you're going to read is necessarily the most amazing book. There are some books that I've heard great things about, and when I started reading them, I just wasn't that excited about it. So I think that's okay. But we need to remember that being healthy is not just about muscles, right? It's like we have to feed our mind as well and spend some time really, we call it personal development. For those of you who are in business or you work, we call it personal development. There's something, you're always growing, you're always learning, you're always kind of trying to figure out something new. And especially if you're someone who's trying to help people, you're always wanting to provide something valuable. Whatever you learn, you want to share. And essentially what pastors do is that's why they spend so much time studying God's word and preparing for their message. When they're preparing for their message on Sunday, they're not just trying to find what should I just teach the people. God is teaching them, and then as they are learning, God is instructing them on how to share this to the congregation so that they can learn, and then they can go out and teach and share the message. So essentially personal development is a way to keep our mind young, our mind healthy, our mind ready and quick and creative and a whole bunch of things. So I wanted to spend some time sharing with you some of my favorites. One that I just literally started a couple days ago, to things that I've had for years and I still go back to regularly. So there'll be a mixture of some books for women who love Jesus and want to become better wives, mothers, just women in general. There are a couple cookbook recipes here. There's some personal development books here that I read for business and also help with my team. Or you can use it for any capacity of life. So I think these are just awesome resources that I wanted to share with you guys. So if you're on, be sure and either show me hearts or likes or comment below and say hello, so that way I know that you're here. I love being able to connect with you guys and chatting with you all. So if you're here, just heart, like, comment, whatever you want to do, and say hello and let me know where you guys are from, where you're viewing from. So let's get started. Let me start with the books that I feel like that I'm really loving right now. So one, I literally started like just the other day, and it's the book Discipline, The Glad Surrender by Elizabeth Elliot. And actually I'm doing a study with She Works His Way, which She Works His Way is a ministry for women who are in business. So for those of us who are connected with that community, they're doing a very special Bible study and community. So none of that content will be available for you guys unless you're part of that group or part of that ministry and you are a member. But the book you can get on Amazon. I actually saw this book a couple months ago. So it was totally God thing that Michelle Meyer's ministry was starting this study for June. But I saw this book a couple months ago and I was like, oh, discipline. Like, I'm so intrigued by discipline. I think people think it's a dirty word or that it can be very legalistic, but I feel like discipline is such it's an obedience thing. It's something that God actually absolutely wants us to have in our life. And we don't need to be afraid of it. You learn, you grow, and there are things that need more attention than others. You guys know my story that when I began health and fitness, God really showed me other areas of my life that I was lacking discipline in. Not just like physical fitness areas, but like in my marriage, in our finances, in how we parented, how much attention we spent with our kids, relationships with other people, ministry. Like there are disciplines in my life that were being neglected, and God kind of used the fitness aspect as a catalyst, or actually as a vessel, to help me see the areas in which I was neglecting. So I'm really, really excited about this book. I'm already in love with it. My husband asked me this morning, how are you doing it? How are you liking it? I was like, well, I just started it, but I'm loving it. So it's, again, called Discipline, The Glad Surrender by Elizabeth Elliot. If you don't know who Elizabeth Elliot is and you don't know her story, just Google her. I'm telling you, you will just fall in love with this woman because of her heart for the Lord and just her heart for sharing the truths of God's word. And so this is just, I'm really excited to dig into this. Another book that I've been loving is Nothing to Prove by Jenny Allen. My husband likes her because of her, I think she went to Dallas Seminary. And so he's like, oh, she holds a master's degree in biblical studies from Dallas Theological Seminary. And if you're a pastor, you know all about Dallas Theological Seminary. So he gave me the seal of approval to read her because like she's legit. She's a legit author. And so this book is really great. It just goes over about we don't need to try so hard to earn God's grace, and we don't have to try so hard to earn his love or to earn other people's love. God already loves us, and he already saved us. So what are we striving for, really? Because a lot of us, we feel like we have to be in a constant state of hustle, right? We gotta hustle more so we can make more money. We gotta hustle so we can be more popular on Instagram or on Facebook or whatever. And she's saying, why do we have to do all that? When she digs into the truth of God's word and who he says we are and who we belong to and how he loves us, there's nothing that we need to prove. We don't have to prove that we're more Christian. We don't have to prove anything. He loves us, and when we accept his gift of grace and salvation, then there's really nothing to strive for. Now we need to work on obedience and constantly listening to the Holy Spirit and not stifling it in any way in our lives, letting him lead in our lives. But we don't have to work so hard to prove we're a Christian, if that makes any sense. So this is another great book that I really, really love, that I highly recommend that you can get it. Again, you can get it on Amazon or any bookstore. I think even Barnes & Noble has it. So awesome. Part of feeding your mind. Pretty good. This one is specifically for pastors' wives, and I legit was so excited when I heard that Kay Warren was releasing another book. And I think her first one was Choose Joy, if I'm remembering correctly. And yes, her first one was Choose Joy Because Happiness Isn't Enough, and Say Yes to God is another one. If you aren't familiar with Kay Warren, you will know she's a very popular pastor's wife. Her husband is Rick Warren, who is the senior pastor of Saddleback Church in California, and they are just a very influential people. I had the pleasure of meeting her way back when at Catalyst in Irvine, California, long time ago, and she's been a huge part of Leading and Loving It, which is a ministry for pastors' wives, which I am a part of. I'm a huge fan of, and I love the women who run it and lead it, and that's how I met a lot of my pastor wives friends, was through that ministry. And so I was so excited to find this book that Kay Warren has written. It's called Sacred Privilege: Your Life in Ministry as a Pastor's Wife. And truthfully, being a pastor's wife can be very challenging and can be very lonely, but there's this incredible privilege and this opportunity that we get to have that nobody else gets to have. And if you're a pastor's wife, can I just encourage you that this is a privilege. This is a joy. And yes, there are hard parts of being a pastor's wife. There are people who feel that they can say whatever they want to you about your husband, and how they can criticize your husband in front of you, and they think that you can't say anything. And most of the time, we're really nice and we don't say anything to their face, okay? but we understand that, like, sometimes people are just mean and they're nasty to us because they think they can intimidate us as pastors' wives. But we get to remember that we have the joy of serving the church in this capacity, and we have the opportunity to partner alongside our husbands and minister to God's church and love the people there and serve the people there. And we get to see families grow and develop, and then develop their own ministries and become these incredible people of God who go out and share with those who are broken about God's goodness and his grace and his mercy and about his son Jesus. And so it's such an incredible privilege. Even with all the hard parts of it, it's still a privilege. There's more joy in it than there is problems. And when I hear other pastors' wives say that ministry isn't that hard, being a pastor's wife isn't that hard, I just kind of wonder, like, then you're very fortunate, honestly. Because I've seen the hard and I've experienced the hard. We've been ripped from community before. And for those of you who have experienced the excruciating pain of suddenly not having a church community, even though you've been ministering to them, you know that is pain and that is hard. But in the hard, most of us who choose to stay in it love it. And we love that God has called us to this, and it truly is a sacred privilege. So if you're a pastor's wife who needs encouragement right now, you need today, go pick this up. I think it's a beautiful resource. It's a beautiful book. I love Kay Warren. I love her heart, and she's been in ministry for 40 years. So she's seen the good, the bad, the ugly, everything in between. She's talked to everybody. She's experienced tragedy. You know that their son Matthew committed suicide a couple years ago, and that was played out literally. Everybody in the world knew about it. So her pain, her anguish, and her grief was played out because everyone knew who Rick Warren was and who Kay Warren was, and then to have your son, to lose your child, and then it just be in the news, like it's tragic. It really is. So I love her to death. So if you're someone who needs encouragement, I highly recommend this. And then there are a couple other books too that I picked up. You Are Free to Be Who You Already Are by Rebecca Lyons. I think this is a really good book about God's freedom and his presence, and whatever your disappointments are, you can find strength and healing in him. And so this is a really good book. Another one, this is more personal development, but it's for those who love the Lord and who really want to have a God-honoring business. And I'll actually pick up my iPad here quick, because I also have another book on here on on my Kindle that I think is really good too. But this one is called Prayer, the Timeless Secret of High Impact Leaders. And I actually give this to people, I recommend it to my leaders on my team, because I truly believe that a successful business, if you want one, you're going to be spending a lot of time praying. Not that God would give you riches, but that you would honor him in this, and that you make the best decisions that would add value to people, but also give him glory. So you have to spend a lot of time thinking about your business and what it is that you want for it. But this is really good for those who are leaders, who are in ministry. Maybe you oversee teams in the corporate world. Maybe at home even, creating and developing leaders in your own home, your children. So praying I think this kind of tool is useful for everyone, not just for those who are in business. Yes, it kind of has a business spin on it or a leadership spin on it, but I definitely think prayer is a discipline that a lot of people don't spend a lot of time developing, because they will say things like, oh, I'm not a very good prayer, I can't focus very long, I'm just not good at it, it's not my spiritual gift. Well, no, everyone can pray. Like, you don't have to have a spiritual gift of praying. Now, there are people who can pray longer than others and who are very what's the word I'm trying to think of, who are intuitive and can know to pray off for certain things, or they just know, I don't know, they know to pray instantly. But prayer is a discipline for everyone, not just for those with a spiritual gift of prayer, whatever that is. So this is a really good resource. And another book that I loved that actually was recommended to me by my friend Michelle Myers is Business for the Glory of God. And again, this is more of a business personal development book, and if I can find it, I can show it to you, but I can't find it for some reason, because I thought it was on my Kindle, and I guess it's not. Oh, here it is. Oops, I tapped on it. So it's downloading right now, but Business for the Glory of God by Wayne Grudem, who's a really good author and Bible teacher. So my husband knows who he is. He's like, that guy's legit. And so if you are in business, whether you own a business or you work in e-business or whatever, this would be a really good resource for you as well. Business for the Glory of God by Wayne Grudem. Okay, so, sorry guys. Another book that I really, really love, I'm going to take off the cover because I made a mess of it, but it's called Grit by Angela Duckworth. This is not a Christian book by any means, but it's a really, really good book. The Power of Passion and Perseverance. So the reason why I like this book is because I am kind of a no excuses person. I don't really have a lot of patience for people who complain about their life, but then they don't do anything about it. I see those people as not gritty. They kind of will post on social media about how their life is an issue, how they wish things would change, how nothing is going well, how everything sucks, people sucks, life sucks, everything. And you kind of watch them fall apart, literally on social media. And they're also very against help. They will post all of their problems, and then when someone offers help, they kind of have an attitude with them, like, oh, you're being nosy, you don't really care. But it's like, no, you put it on social media. Like, do you want help or you just want to complain? So I don't know what, I don't have a lot of patience for it. But this book, I loved it because it really resonated with me as a person who has experienced problems and who has experienced difficulty and has had to make a decision. I can complain about it, or I can whine, or I can do something about it. And my family, growing up, my dad had a very good career in computer programming. I mean, the guy was worth a lot of money. The problem was, whenever the economy tanked, his job would be gone because the companies were much more willing to let go of a man who was very experienced, who didn't have a college degree necessarily, but he had self-educated himself on all computer languages and programs and was able to do the job better than some college student that would come out. But you had to pay my dad more. So they were willing to let him go, the expert, and hire a college student who they could pay less. And so we saw that happen time and time again. Now, a couple times it was because the company downsized and there was nothing they could do about that. But most of the time, a lot of times it was because the company didn't want to pay that much. So they would hire a college kid and they would pay that person less, and then they could let my dad go. So we see time and time again, hard times come our way as a family of, how many people are? Four kids. There's 6 of us. And I forgot somebody in there. Sorry, Mom and Dad. So there's like 6 of us in our household, and we struggled, but we were gritty. Like, we made it work. And this book really opened my eyes to how gritty we were. And so this is for those who maybe you need some encouragement. Maybe you need to be reminded that, yes, things suck sometimes. Yes, that, life isn't always peachy, and you're not always going to get your way in life. There are no free handouts. None. People are going to steal from you. They're going to lie to you, and nothing is for free. So you have to decide whether you can complain about it or you're going to do something about it. Are you willing to overcome the obstacles in life, whatever it may be? Maybe it's a job loss, or even in business, or competitively. She talked a lot about athletes and their grittiness and their willingness to keep playing even though the possibility of losing was very real. So this is a really, really great resource that I took away from, that I think many of you would benefit from as well, because I know a lot of you are experiencing some very difficult times in your life. And so Grit, The Power of Passion and Perseverance, I think it's a great book for you guys to read as well. Okay, now we're going to go to one of my favorites, which is basically food. I'm not going to be telling you like how to eat or what you should eat, but I get asked all the time, what cookbooks do you read? What would you recommend if I'm trying to venture into paleo? Or how do you know what to make? Or, are you a chef? And all the answers to that is like, no, I'm not a chef. You will never see me pop on here live, cooking up a storm and making a recipe from scratch. It's not going to happen. I am legit amazing recipe follower. So I invest in cookbooks, and I think I may have shown some of these before, but they're worth showing again, especially one, because if you only had to choose one book, it would be this one. And I'm going to start with it. It's called Practical Paleo by Diane Sanfilippo, and you can follow her on Instagram as well. Be sure to watch her stories, because she will cook her lunches and her breakfasts and her dinners, and you can kind of see step by step her thinking process in all of that. So if you're someone who likes watching cooking shows, she kind of has her own mini cooking show on Instagram stories. So I think she offers incredible value. I love this book because it's not just a cookbook. Like there's tons of recipes in here, and let me just tell you, every recipe that I've ever made from this book that I ventured it with, we've loved. Like my husband loves it. My kids will even eat it, which is a miracle in itself, because if you have picky kids, you know how hard it is to get them to eat anything decent. So there's tons of recipes here, but I love that there's quick guides, how to stock your pantry, paleo foods, even a lesson about what paleo really is, and why it's so powerful, why like saturated fats and healthy eating and a whole bunch of stuff. So I just think it's a really good resource. She did a great job with it. She spent a lot of time studying because she had to do an experiment for herself, and so she took all that time, that research that she put on her own self, and she was an educated consumer, and she did the research and she put it into book form. And so if there's only one book that you can get, I recommend that one. So Practical Paleo. This is the book that I tell my family, like if they're looking to eat healthier or they're looking to kind of experiment with paleo, this is the book. A lot of people will say, oh, do Whole30. I don't even know that that's the best approach. The best thing to do first. Love Whole30. I love the whole idea behind it, because it definitely is it's a experiment. It's not a diet. It's an experiment to eliminate the things that could be causing inflammation in your body and all of that. But it's an experiment, and so I love that this resource is a great way to kind of dive into Whole30 without actually doing Whole30. If you want to do Whole30, I'm not saying don't do it. I'm not saying it's bad. It's a great program, an awesome program. But I just like Diane's approach better. She's not dogmatic at all. It's not a religion. You'll see her eat cheese, goat cheese, feta cheese. Like she eats cheese, and she eats, her husband eats rice. And so, and other things. So she's not dogmatic at all. It's not a religion. Basically, she's trying to help you discover real food that works for your body. And so if you need to do some research, again, feeding your mind and educating yourself on things that will work for you in your pursuit of being a size U, this is something that I think would be of incredible value. Sometimes I'll post a recipe that I made, or I won't actually post the recipe. I'll post a dish. I'll take a picture of it. I'm like, oh, I made this from the Practical Paleo cookbook. It was so good. This is what it's called. And I'll have people message me and be like, what's the recipe? Can you give me the recipe? Nope, I won't do that. Unless it's on their blog, I won't send you the recipe, because I think you're smart, and I think you're educated, and I think you know how to Google, and I think you can search for the recipe, or you can invest in yourself and you can get the cookbook yourself. It's the same thing with any of these books that I've shown here as well. I may share a quote or two, but I'm not going to give you the whole entire breakdown of what it is. I think you should invest in yourself and buy these books that may be of benefit to you. I don't think you can ever go wrong with feeding your mind, because honestly, what you put in comes out. So if you're putting good things in your body, it's just like with food. If you're putting good food in your body, you're going to output energy, output good stuff. You're going to feel much better. If you put bad stuff in, you're going to feel like junk. Okay, you're going to feel like the stuff that you're eating. It's the same thing with the kinds of things that you read. All these books that I've shared, and even a cookbook, it's good stuff putting in because it's teaching you something. They are providing value to you. You're learning something new. You're keeping your mind fresh. And so that's part of the reason why I got so excited with diving into paleo, is because I discovered her, and she's just she does not shoot the breeze with you. Okay, she's very direct. Some people might not like that, but I like it. I don't like someone playing around with me. I want to know what it's about. What is this? And then if I don't need all the details in order to make a decision. I can do that myself. I'm pretty with it. I know you guys are with it too. You can do the research on your own. I'm a self-educator. I don't do well in just sitting in a classroom watching slides or a teacher talk on and on. I am much more comfortable reading on my own and studying for myself, and then making an educated decision based on what would be best for me. So that was long-winded, all about practical paleo. But if you could only choose one, this is one that I think you should get. This is one I'm telling my family to get, everybody. But a few others in case you just don't want that one. I also love Lexi's Clean Kitchen. That's an awesome cookbook. She also has some pretty great resources in here that kind of explains the approach, not as much as practical paleo. It's more about what to avoid, what should I eat, balance, all of that stuff. Nom Nom Paleo is another popular one. All of these gals that I'm going to be showing you, they're on Instagram, by the way. So feel free and check them out on Instagram. They're very in-depth. They're very adorable. They're funny. They're real people. They're not dogmatic. They're awesome. Nom Nom Paleo is another one by Michelle Tam. She actually tells her story in here about why she decided to go the route of paleo. I know not everyone here wants to go paleo, but I think everyone here wants to eat better food. And so I just love the paleo approach because it really does focus on real food, and the recipes aren't that complicated. Like, you're not buying a whole bunch of weird stuff in the grocery store to make a 30-minute meal. Like, you're buying real food, and it may be like 5 or 6 ingredients at the most, with some seasonings or whatever, and your recipe's done in 30 to 40 minutes. So they're not complicated. That's why I like this approach so much better than some of the other ones, because it's real food. Like, it's real food, organic, high quality, and that's what you're feeding your body with. So Nom Nom Paleo is another one. Fed and Fit. This girl's adorable. I think she's hilarious. So cute. She has workout programs in here too. So like, she has exercises in here. So if you can't get to the gym, these are great resources you can do here. Recipes, again, that are really simple and they're delicious. And again, she's on Instagram and she's adorable to boot. And that's kind of my spiel. And obviously I have like 60 billion books here on Kindle. You can tell I read a lot. I read all the time. I just really love feeding my mind and putting good stuff in and all of that. Not every book is necessarily the best book, but you know, that's how you discover what you like and what you enjoy and what would be valuable for you guys. Again, this video would be super duper long if I shared every single book I owned and that was good. But you know, maybe I should do a blog post about all the books that I really love and share that resource. That might be a good idea. So as you can see, tons of books, tons of resources. So don't be afraid to invest in yourself and feed your mind. And I always appreciate when people share what they're into, and I would love to hear what you guys are reading right now that you're loving. Obviously, I do study the Bible. I read the Bible. That's where I get my truth from. That's where I discover the truth about who God is and about who God says I am. So we don't really need to go into I read the Bible. That's where I read. We don't need any Jesus jukes here. But I would love to know what you guys are reading and what you're studying and what you're learning as you're discovering this and feeding your mind. So thanks so much for watching, guys. Talk to you soon. Bye.